The New York Times called her one of the most powerful women in banking. And those Forbes and Fortune magazine lists called her one of the smartest and toughest leaders in the world today. These days, Bank of America Vice Chair Anne Finucane is looking to use all that power for good. She joins me now. Anne, it's good to see you.
Thank you, Jim.
So what do you do by day exactly at that bank that causes you to make it on all those lists, Anne Finucane?
Well, I try to do a good job at what I do every day, so I guess that works out. I oversee the marketing, the public policy, the ESG work, environmental, social, and governance. So that seems to help. And
the two words that I keep hearing associated, glued to your name almost every time I hear your name these days, capital deployment. And I cannot tell a lie. A week ago, I did not know what capital deployment was. So I assume a lot of people at home do. What exactly is that? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, the idea of capital deployment is philanthropy is great. We believe in philanthropy. But if you're trying to help a cause, water, environmental issues, women's empowerment, these big social issues, to stand it up with philanthropy alone isn't enough. So what you try to do is get business involved and all sorts of business, so financial services businesses. So philanthropists, development banks like the World Bank or the European Development Bank, then regular banks, then private equity, and then on a blended basis, we could invest in something or lend to something. You de-risk something, and you make it possible because it's scalable. It's much bigger than you could have done on philanthropy alone.
And just to give an example, I think you mentioned water, water.org, which is the thing associated with Matt Damon. You're intimately involved in that too, right?
Yes.
So just in providing water to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that don't otherwise have potable water available.
Right.
But just to be clear, when you separate yourself from philanthropy, Bank of America is a business, a profit-making business. So is the goal to do good and to help the bottom line? Is that both of those things there?
Yes, although you may have to, as they say, the capital may have to be more patient. You have to wait longer perhaps, or the return is occasionally lower, but not always. So if you're in private equity, you're expecting a full return. I would say on this blended basis, you're a little more patient. Water.org is a good example. That began as a philanthropy. Now they are really trying to raise a fund. We're the first $5 million in. They're trying to raise $50 million. And with $50 million, you can make water available to many more villages and people around the world. This is it's microloans. They actually create a microloan to usually women to get a well at their house so that they can use water at their house and not have to go to the village.
And so let me give you another example. I'm put up a picture of you and a bunch of people with someone others may have seen, Bono, a couple of people seen. And when he was at Gillette, I think in the summer, there was a little Bono and a huge photograph of you behind. Hey, I assume you brought the beer or something. Is that what? So, but you're helping with his AIDS campaign. Is that what Bank of America is?
Yes.
Is that purely philanthropic? There's no money to be made there, is there, or is there?
No.
So that's just out of the good. So what motivates Bank of America? Is it the goodness of somebody's heart? Is it it's great PR for a bank, a big bank, to be doing good around the world? What's the motivation?
You want to be a member of the community, and the community is global. So you want to be a member of this community in Boston. You want to be a member of the community globally. So we do a lot philanthropically here, but when you have teammates, 200,000 of them all over the world, and you're in many countries, you have to demonstrate that you have an interest in a movement forward for everybody.
And just as you described water.org, when the statement is made that Bank of America cares enough, either as an investment or a philanthropic effort to put $1 million, $5 million or something, then I assume draws other capital. That's the notion that you're not alone. So when you have so much money at your disposal, mountains of money, look at the smile on her face, does anyone ever say an unkind word to you? Let me put it away. How do you separate the sincere from the sycophants when everybody wants what you have? I mean that is a serious question. How do you do that?
Good question.
But I'm serious. How do you?
Well, I don't have a lot of sycophants around me. Somehow they find a way to get to me and criticize, so we're all set there.
I'm looking for that criticism. As soon as you find it, send me an email. Can we step back from this for a couple of minutes?
Yeah.
You're on all these lists as most powerful woman. I don't understand why it's woman only, but that's for another day. I'm sure that it should drive you nuts if it doesn't. Boston Club. I'm obsessed with the Boston Globe. I had the woman, Pat Flynn, who did the study here a couple of weeks ago, Shirley Young from the Globe. The 100 biggest corporations in your home state of Massachusetts, there are 10 0-0s. You know what 0-0s are? 0 women on the board, 0 women in C-suites. And you can go on. 16 of those 100 have all-male boards. 47 have no female executive officers at all. What's your reaction when you hear those kind of numbers in 2017?
What a lost opportunity for the company. So we have 30% of our board are women, 40% of our most senior management are women. It makes a difference. You have diversity in the board, you have diversity in senior management. Questions are asked, better answers are given. So their loss.
Muhammad Ali from Carbonite was here the other night, and he said it's also good for the bottom line. Diversity is not just good policy, but you subscribe to that notion that it helps?
I do.
So what's the cure? I mean, you mentioned 30%. There are a ton of countries in Western Europe where you spend part of your time that have statutes that mandate 30 or 40% diversity, gender diversity in the boards, or you just can't be incorporated. Should we go that far when it's clear that the industries can't fix themselves, or no?
Well, I don't like mandates, but I mean, I do believe that you have to have 30% of the women to be on your board.
So how do you get there if there's 0-0s like this that seem not to care? What do you do?
I don't know. I mean, I think we're seeing big changes. Our company is doing very well at this. I see a lot of other companies. I get calls about boards. I think that there's a movement forward, and I do think recent activity and recent news will give people more motivation.
Let's end with another piece of recent news. Margaret Marshall, the former head of the SJC, was here the other night, and I asked her if she was a Me Too, and she said, "You should not ask me that question," and then she proceeded to answer the question indirectly. So since I blew it once, can I blow it again? You've been in a lot of industries, come up through are you a Me Too? Have you experienced sexual harassment in your years in advertising and other businesses?
Well, like Margie, I'm a little older than some of the... Listen, this is what I think. I'm very happy that this has come to the forefront, because this is about power and arrogant abuse. And if it could change, it would make such a sea change for young women.
But is public shaming enough? I mean, public shaming has been elevated almost to an art form, and I subscribe to it wholeheartedly. But it seems to me there needs to be something structurally done, or something done more than just outing one man one day, another man another day. Is there more? What is the more that needs to be done?
Well, that's usually the beginning of any movement. Any movement begins with passion and with examples. So this passion around this issue, Time Magazine today,
right.
And an issue where you're getting a lot of press, I think is the start. You don't think that every company isn't looking at their organization, that every sports team isn't looking at their organization? So I think that makes a huge difference.
Does it, when you have a guy who's President of the United States who's 16 women accused when he was a candidate, and the people of America still chose him, does that make it harder to get to the promised land on these issues?
Yes.
On that note, Anne Finucane, it's great to see you. Pleasure. Thanks so much.